It was a racially motivated crime. It was a racially motivated murder.
They got exactly what they deserve. Had to do it over again. I'd kill more.
I thought they were Jews. I wouldn't have shot them otherwise.
And to Mr. Jeremy and Christine, your mom should have slaughtered you.
I should have killed you. I should have killed you.
How hit?
This is Peyton Gendron, a mass murder suspect in New York. According to reports, on May 14, 2022, Gendron carried out a mass shooting at a Tops Friendly Market supermarket on the east side of Buffalo.
It started around 2:30 Saturday afternoon in the parking lot of this Tops Friendly Market store in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo.
We all knew this was coming. You know, just like I know, that when you stare into the abyss of absolute evil, the mask eventually falls. You're watching a man realize that the hole they're throwing him into is the last sky he'll ever see. This isn't just about sentencing. This is about the moment the demonic ideology hits the brick wall of justice.
The Bible clearly states thou shalt not kill. I'm sorry I broke that commandment, but I truly believe God has forgiven Jeremy and I hope you will too. Your Honor, please see it fit that Jeremy and I are sentenced to the same sentence of 30 years. Never kissing my husband or feeling his touch again is my very worst nightmare. Please give us a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
While the Moodys initially were remorseful for their actions, they showed their true colors once the judge handed down the sentence.
Brutally killed these two people. They had nothing, no way to defend themselves or anything else. And I tell you that I believe that if these two were to get out of jail, I would be concerned.
We're not just talking about criminals here. We're talking about leaders of a sickness, foot soldiers for a rot that the elite in Hollywood and the compromised institutions desperately want to sweep under the rug because it exposes the spiritual bankruptcy they've been selling us for decades. What you're about to see in these files proves that the price of playing God is a life spent in a cage. And yet, they still expect us to believe they feel remorse? No. The truth is, they only mourn the loss of their own power. Take the case of Devon Arthurs. This one is a maze of darkness that reveals a terrifying hidden war happening right under our noses. Arthurs was a devoted neo-Nazi, deep in a group called the Atomwaffen Division, a name that reeks of elitist, ritualistic self-worship. Then he converted to Islam, and within the same breath, executed two of his roommates, Jeremy Himmelman and Andrew Onishuk, because they mocked his new path. The media wants you to see a crazy person. I need you to look deeper. When the police tore that apartment apart, they didn't just find a crime scene, they found a bomb-making factory.
Years in prison.
Your Honor, not a day goes by that I don't regret and I know that what I've done is a sin, and I believe that God has forgiven me of it. Please have mercy on Christine and I so we can still have a chance to grow old together as husband and wife.
Then it was Christine's chance to plead for forgiveness.
The Bible clearly states thou shalt not kill. I'm sorry I broke that commandment, but I truly believe God has forgiven Jeremy and I hope you will too. Your Honor, please see it fit that Jeremy and I are sentenced to the same sentence of 30 years. Never kissing my husband or feeling his touch again is my very worst nightmare. Please give us a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
While the Moodys initially were remorseful for their actions, they showed their true colors once the judge handed down the sentence.
Brutally killed these two people. They had nothing, no way to defend themselves or anything else. And I tell you that I believe that if these two were to get out of jail, I would be concerned that they would do exactly.
Arthurs told interrogators his friends were planning to usher in the Fourth Reich. They had explosive materials, fuses, and a map of destruction designed to wipe out innocent lives.
Registered sex offender Marvin Parker and his wife Gretchen Parker after getting their address from the registry. CCTV footage showed the Moodys kidnapping the Parkers at gunpoint, where they later shot and stabbed them. Police were able to identify Jeremy from his white supremacist tattoos in the footage. When questioned, the killer couple didn't deny their guilt. In fact, they not only confessed, but also told authorities they had planned to kill more sex offenders. The Moodys pleaded guilty to murder, kidnapping, and burglary, and appeared in court all smiles, ready to ask the judge for mercy, as well as the minimum sentence of 30 years in prison.
Your Honor, not a day goes by that I don't regret things that happened. And I know that what I've done is a sin, and I believe that God has forgiven me of it. Please have mercy on Christine and I so we can still have a chance to grow old together as husband and wife.
Then it was Christine's chance to plead for forgiveness.
The Bible clearly states thou shalt not kill. I am sorry I broke that commandment, but I truly believe God has forgiven Jeremy and I hope you will too. Your Honor, please see it fit that Jeremy and I are sentenced to the same sentence of 30 years. Never kissing my husband or feeling his touch again is my very worst nightmare. Please give us the light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
While the Moodys initially were remorseful for their actions, they showed their true colors once the judge handed down the sentence.
Brutally killed these two people. They had nothing, no way to defend themselves or anything else. And I tell you that I believe that if
In the police tape, you hear Arthur say they're delusional and that he might be sick in that sense. But you know, just like I know, that the darkness moving in that apartment was more than just chemicals and guns. It was a spiritual warfare that the FBI's handbook doesn't know how to classify. He ultimately took a plea, 45 years, and had the nerve to stand in court claiming he wants to be an advocate against extremism. They want us to forget that he was their brother just days before. That's not rehabilitation. That's a script rewrite. And we're too smart to buy it.
Kill more.
I think Jeremy and I would have done it again if given the opportunity.
Do you have any regrets?
I have no regrets. Killing that pedophile was the best day of my life.
Do you have anything to say to the victim's family?
May they die also.
Ultimately, they received consecutive life sentences with no chance of parole. While Jeremy and Christine Moody's remorseless killings shocked the community, how does it compare to terrorizing a whole nation? Like in the case of Anders Breivik, who's on trial for mass murder and terrorism in Norway. On July 22, 2011, 32-year-old Breivik parked a white van full of explosives outside the Prime Minister's office in Oslo. He was then seen walking away from the area, dressed in a police uniform. What followed next rocked the entire nation of Norway. A huge explosion ripped through the area, damaging buildings and businesses nearby. The blast left a scene of utter chaos, with death and destruction everywhere.
3:26 p.m., a massive car bomb shatters downtown Oslo. The target, the Prime Minister's office. The streets turn into makeshift triage areas. But this horror is only beginning.
8 people died in the explosion, while another 209 were injured. But this was only a small part of Breivik's sinister plans. While the authorities were confused and distracted by the blast, Breivik drove out of town all the way to the island of Utøya, where a youth summer camp was being organized.
Breivik was driving out of town when his bomb exploded.
There, dressed as a police officer with a false ID, Breivik opened fire, methodically killing 69 and injuring more than 30 people. There was chaos all over the island, with
But what happens when the cult leader doesn't even bother to wear a mask in the first place? Russell Courtier never hid his allegiance. He was a made man in the European Kindred, a white supremacist prison gang. We're talking about a group that uses blood rituals for initiation, yet the mainstream corporate media acts like this is just a bias issue. Courtier got into a fight with 19-year-old Larnell Bruce outside a 7-Eleven. After Bruce smashed his head into a window, Courtier didn't walk away. He turned his red Jeep into a guided missile. He drove onto the sidewalk, with his girlfriend Colleen Hunt screaming him to do it. He ran over a child of God, crushing the life out of him.
April 13th, 2014, Cross fatally shot 69-year-old William Corcoran and his 14-year-old grandson Reet Underwood at the Jewish Community Center in Overland Park.
Police say on Sunday, April 13th, Cross went to the Jewish Community Center and opened fire in the parking lot. 69-year-old William Corcoran was there with his grandson Reet. Both were killed.
A few blocks away, a former member of the Ku Klux Klan gunned down 53-year-old Terry Lamano outside the Village Shalom Retirement Center.
A few blocks away, Terry Lamano was gunned down outside the Village Shalom Retirement Center.
Police showed up quickly and took Cross into custody. One of the officers caught the whole thing on his body cam.
One of them captured this dash cam video. Take a look. It shows Frazier Glenn Cross being arrested by Overland Park police. You can see he's surrounded by several officers.
They said Cross asked for a celebratory whiskey after the shootings. He was even heard screaming Nazi slogans out of the back of the police car. Cross fired his lawyers and represented himself in court. This led to a trial full of disruptions and outbursts.
I spent 20 years in the Army, 2 tours in Vietnam.
Let me tell you, Mr. Miller. Stop.
I earned the right of speech.
Stop.
Freedom of speech.
Stop.
At his pretrial hearing, Cross exploded at the judge before being thrown out of the courtroom.
So you a damn with the Jews sitting in their own judgment. You are
We'll take a break.
At his trial, the prosecution claimed Cross was a proud and remorseless killer.
And the prosecution proved it was a racially motivated murder. But here is the hidden file they don't want you to know. Courtier's jailhouse calls exposed a network that operates like a business. He didn't just wake up with hate. He was discipled into it, trained by an elite class of predators who treat the American street as their hunting ground. He got life with a minimum of 28 years. But we have to ask ourselves, how many more disciples are still wearing that Kindred ink, walking among us because the system refuses to classify these cartels as the terrorist organizations they are? Now, this is where the narrative flips, and I'm going to show you how a predator can be reframed by his own monstrous actions into a warning that inadvertently exposes the collapse of a system. Jeremy Moody and his wife Christine. They hunted down Charles Parker and his wife Gretchen, bound them, and executed them. Their logic? They found Parker on the registry. In the courtroom, they were all smiles, kissing, asking God for mercy and a 30-year sentence so they could grow together as husband and wife.
I got it. Oh yeah.
You too. Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Have a good day. Bye.
Even the presence of the police did not seem to deter the offenders.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Yeah, we see you too, baby. We see you too, baby. See, that's a threat. That's a threat. Stop that truck. That's a threat. That's a threat. Stop that truck. That's a threat. That's a threat. No, that's a threat. You stop that truck. That's a threat.
Eventually, Kayla Norton and Jose Torres were arrested and found guilty of making terroristic threats and violating Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. Torres was additionally convicted of aggravated assault. At their sentencing, an emotional Norton showed remorse for her actions and apologized to the family.
I do accept the responsibility for what I've done. I know I was in the wrong. But I want you all to know that that is not me. That is not me. That's not him. I would never walk up to you and say those words to you, and I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Then, in a completely unexpected turn of events, the victim directly addressed the duo and forgave them.
I forgive you. I forgive all of you. I'm not a mean-spirit person. I do. I forgive you.
Ultimately, Norton was sentenced to 6 years in prison with 9 years of probation, while Torres received 13 years in prison and 7 years of probation. Additionally, they were both banished from Douglas County. While Kayla Norton and Jose Torres got lengthy prison sentences for their racist actions, how does it compare to hailing Hitler in court? Like in the case of 73-year-old Frazier Glenn Cross, a white supremacist accused of murdering 3 people in Kansas.
I thought they were Jews. I wouldn't know.
Christine wept about never feeling her husband's touch again. It was a nauseating display of faux Christianity that makes your blood run cold. But the mask vaporized the second the judge gave them life without parole. Jeremy Moody snarled at the cameras. Killing that pedophile was the best day of my life.
Court sentences Mr. Bryan to life with the possibility of parole on count 3.
While taking the law into their own hands proved costly for the McMichaels and William Bryan, how does it compare to abusing the power of law? Like in the case of William Melendez, who's on trial for police brutality against a black man in Detroit. Reports suggest that on January 28, 2015, Detroit police officer William Melendez assaulted 57-year-old Floyd Dent during a patrol stop. Dashcam footage from a police vehicle showed Dent getting pulled over on Inkster Road, Michigan, for disregarding a stop sign. Melendez could be seen approaching the car with his gun aimed at Dent. His partner then pulled out an unarmed Dent from the car and slammed him to the ground. Then Dent, who had already surrendered, was shockingly put in a chokehold by Melendez, while his partner held him.
And Christine wished death upon the victim's family. Do you see the pathology? They used the righteous anger we all feel about child safety as a justification for demonic execution. And the moment the justice didn't bow to their self-righteousness, the bloodlust resurfaced. They are a flashing neon sign of what happens when you crown yourself judge, jury, and executioner. They aren't heroes. They are a chilling glimpse into the spirit of lawlessness. And that spirit was completely blackballed from polite society with a double life sentence, proving that moral clarity cannot be manufactured by a cult of 2. But the most dangerous leader is always the one in uniform, the one who swears an oath to protect. We saw it with Derek Chauvin, and we saw the files of Officer William Melendez. This Inkster, Michigan cop pulled over 57-year-old Floyd Dent for a stop sign. In the dashcam video, you watch a man surrender, and you watch a lawman turn into an animal. Melendez put Dent in a chokehold and delivered 16 punches to the head of a subdued man. 16.
In a shocking act of brutality, Melendez started to unleash a barrage of punches to Dent's head. In total, Melendez punched Dent 16 times before choking him unconscious. Backup arrived and almost half a dozen police officers tried to handcuff a helpless Dent, whom Melendez had kept in a chokehold all this while. Finally, a bloodied and battered Dent was restrained and taken away, while officers started to search his car. Footage inside the police vehicle showed Dent tearing up from a swollen eye. Dent was also charged with possession of cocaine, which was later dropped. The focus shifted to Melendez, who was arrested and charged with misconduct and assault. At the trial, Dent took the stands and recalled his terrifying ordeal.
The guy with the gun was on the by the end of the door, and another guy with a black skull cap on. They came to the car, and the guy with the gun told me.
And he stood up in court and cried about how he loved his job.
But you do your own. You have a son, and now he has to live the rest of his life without his father. And hopefully he doesn't make and think the same way that you do. This world it doesn't belong to any of us. We're just here visiting, and everyone has a right to be here.
Ultimately, Courtier was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum of 28 years served before being eligible for parole. While Russell Courtier will spend a significant part of his life in prison for his rage-fueled racial attack, how does it compare to threatening a kid with racial slurs? Like the case of Michael Amatullo, who's facing hate crime charges in Oregon. As per reports, 60-year-old Amatullo allegedly hurled racial slurs at a 7-year-old African-American child in their apartment complex in Portland. When the child's 14-year-old brother came to his defense, Amatullo racially abused him too.
The boy's 14-year-old brother came out to defend him, at which point Amatullo allegedly threatened to beat them.
Then he went inside his kitchen and brought a butcher knife, allegedly threatening the kids with it.
He then went back inside and returned with a butcher knife, according to reports. Police say Amatullo pointed the knife at the boys from about 6 or 7 feet away.
This prompted them to run and hide under a nearby stairwell, where the teen called the authorities. Amatullo was arrested and charged with misdemeanor menacing, second-degree intimidation, and unlawful use of a weapon. In court, the innocent 7-year-old child testified that Amatullo's threats about killing his mother had saddened him.
When he said that stuff to me, I was kind of sad because my mom was pregnant, and it was a burn stomach, and that was my first sister, and when he said, I hope my mom died, I didn't like that.
Then it was Judge Christopher Ramra's turn to school Amatullo.
When he spoke today, he didn't say anything about the N-word. He just talked about sort of how things made him feel sad because he's a child. He doesn't process things in the same way that we do. That sort of leads to the credibility of what he had to say. And the normal reaction, if a 7-year-old is looking at an adult, is to smile at them, is to maybe talk to them. It's not to say, what the F are you looking at? And then to call them the N-word. When you're talking about someone, it never came out at trial, but I'm assuming he was in first grade, maybe kindergarten.
He said the incident could leave a lasting impression on the two children.
I have to imagine that most African Americans can remember the first time that somebody used the N-word in anger against them. They may not, depending on their age, might not have fully understood its significance at that point in time, but as they grow older and have more experiences, I have to think that's something that resonates.
Ultimately, Amatullo was found guilty.
Here's the breadcrumb that keeps me up at night. What about the partner who held Dent down? He was never charged. We always hear about the one bad apple, but we never get the files on the trees that produce them. And that is exactly what they don't want you to know. Now, let's tie this to the legend, the one who thought he was smarter than God. Frazier Glenn Cross. He was a grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, a Vietnam vet who spent his life worshiping a death cult. On April 13th, 2014, he drove to a Jewish community center and opened fire. He killed William Corporon and his 14-year-old grandson, Reet Underwood. He then drove to a retirement home and took the life of Terry Lamanno. In his warped reality, he was hunting Jews, cleansing the world. He acted as his own lawyer, which gave the world a front-row seat to the...
First grade, maybe kindergarten.
He said the incident could leave a lasting impression on the two children.
I have to imagine that most African Americans can remember the first time that somebody used the N-word in anger against them. They may not, depending on their age, might not have fully understood its significance at that point in time, but as they grow older and have more experiences, I have to think that's something that resonates.
Ultimately, Amatullo was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Portland man was sentenced to 3 years for a bias crime against 2 black brothers. He will spend 2 years in prison and 1 in jail.
While Michael Amatullo paid a heavy price for his racist demeanor, what happens when you kill someone for going against your beliefs? Like in the case of Devon Arthurs, who's facing murder charges in Florida. 18-year-old Arthurs, along with his 4 roommates, were part of a neo-Nazi group called the Atomwaffen Division. However, things changed drastically when Arthurs converted to Islam, a stark departure from his neo-Nazi roots. His newfound faith created tension within the group, who often teased him for his new beliefs. When things reached a boiling point on May 19, 2017, Arthurs fatally shot 2 of his roommates, 22-year-old Jeremy Himmelman and 18-year-old Andrew Onischuk, at their apartment in Tampa.
He claims he shot 2 of his roommates because they ridiculed him for converting to Islam.
When police arrived at the scene, they discovered a chilling cache of evidence. They found explosive materials, weapons, and other bomb-making substances. Arthurs was arrested and interrogated, where he told police about the sinister plans of his roommates.
Yeah, nothing's been constructed yet, but this is clearly stuff that is lined up for the explosives there. That's the purpose of those items. Yeah.
He told the jury God would reward him because his actions were righteous and moral. You hear that? That's not human logic. That's the architecture of hell speaking through a man.
Shot 2 of his roommates because they ridiculed him for converting to Islam.
When police arrived at the scene, they discovered a chilling cache of evidence. They found explosive materials, weapons, and other bomb-making substances. Arthurs was arrested and interrogated, where he told police about the sinister plans of his roommates.
Yeah, nothing's been constructed yet, but this is clearly stuff that is lined up for the explosives there. That's the purpose of those items. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the entire purpose of it.
You guys don't build model rockets and go out in the back and shoot them off into the, or fireworks for 4th of July coming out there. Nothing like that.
None of that. It's all literally there specifically to kill people.
Arthur said he acted out of a belief that his roommates' planned bombings would lead to the Fourth Reich.
What was their purpose for doing that?
Because they want to build the Fourth Reich. They're delusional.
Okay.
He also spoke about his mental health issues.
I'm very prone to getting angry a lot. I'm very to the point where I think that I might be kind of sick in that sense. And I want to get help for that.
It seems Arthurs' mental health worsened in prison because what he did in his court appearance shocked everyone, as they saw Arthur seemingly choking himself to the point of unconsciousness.
Devon Arthurs' appearance in court was anything but ordinary. Everyone in the courtroom, including the judge, got a first-hand look at Arthurs appearing to choke himself to the point of unconsciousness. It's the type of involuntary reflex.
A doctor who evaluated Arthurs took the stand to explain his odd behavior.
He squeezes and lets his head fall into his hands to compress his blood vessels until he begins to lose consciousness.
The judge sentenced him to death, but he died in 2021 on death row, cheating the gurney. It feels like an unfinished chapter, doesn't it? A foul cheat at the end of a justice story. But just because the vessel died, does it mean the spirit died with him? We see the same rhetoric in the manifestos today, the same lone wolf script. It makes you wonder, if the puppet is dead, why are the strings still being pulled?